Saturday there, so we have no bet in the first. We're going to go straight into the Hardwick Stakes at 305. Steve, I'll come back to you there straight away.
Yeah, going to take a shot at Palladium, who had really strong German form, which is always underrated. And Palladium then joined Nicky Henderson, paid a lot of money for this horse to go hurdling, won at Huntingdon, but straight away out to John and Thady Gosden, and only ran last week at Goodwood when third behind Hamish, looking in need of the run. And all his form's on soft ground, but he gallops like a fast ground horse. So I never, on the continent, I never really trust the going descriptions. And although he's got a fair bit of ground to make up on Rebels Romance when they met at Cologne in September, I do think he's a very interesting runner, Palladium, because it's full of the same old horses. And he's something that could be a little bit better with that German form continually underrated.
It's Palladium, available around 13.0 for the Hardwick. Charlie?
I'm with Micheál Deasy, but what do if we got a discount code that we've got to tell him about, haven't we, as well? And he's a big price. I might want to make use of that.
Discount code? Oh, the pod 50 free bets. Sorry about that, yeah. We forgot that at the start. So the sign up offer all the time. Sign up with Matchbook with the code pod 50. Place £50 worth of bets settled across 4 different bets. So you can do 4 bets of $12.50, 5 tenors, bets on singles, multiples, bet builders, whatever you want. And once they're all settled, you will get 5 £10 free bets to use on whatever you want. So there you go.
So yeah, LRC for me, I mean, he's a quirky horse and he's been around forever, but he's been incredibly well managed to win a heap of group races. He started again this year off well at Sandown, where he beat Ancient Wisdom, and then a Newbury behind Eden. Just probably wasn't enough pace for him. He is vulnerable to that, but hopefully there'll be a gallop on here. He's got Ascot form. If they go a good gallop, he'll be travelling strong throughout. It'd just be a case of whether Jim Crowley can get the split at the right moment. A big respect for Rebel Romance, but I just thought he was short enough in a race of this nature. And then I was looking through it and I thought I wasn't sure what I wanted to take him on with. But Al-Arsi, for all his quirks, he's a pretty consistent horse that's always there or thereabouts. And I thought 11.0 was big enough for him.
Okay, that's Al-Arsi at 11.0 for our new producer Charlie, and Palladium at 13.0. for Steve. Jump on to the QE2 Jubilee Stakes, the big sprint on Saturday. Andrew, do you want to come in there first?
Yeah, Inisherin for me, really, as the main selection here. Winner of the Commonwealth Cup last year, of course, in distance form, seems to love quick ground. I thought he was impressive enough at York on his reappearance when it looked like he might need it as well. So I'd like to hope that there'll be a step forward from that. Buick booked, which is a positive, and just a little bit kind of heart overhead, I must confess, but I'm going to have something small on James's Delight, horse that's done many a good turn for me in the past. Won at the Curragh last time out. I think he's a progressive sprinter, and hopefully the type of horse that, you know, it mightn't be on Saturday because the ground might be that shade too quick, but I do think there's probably a Group 1 race in this horse at some stage, maybe a little bit later in the year, but he is a very big price, so maybe something just for a little place play.
Yeah, he is 34.0. At least you're going to be getting about 5 places on this race. Charlie, would you fancy?
Yeah, I'm with Andrew Inisherin. I was a massive Elite Status fan all last year, but I think I'm going to have to accept that Inisherin is the better horse. And as Andrew said, he'd had a wind up before his comeback at York. I mean, if Kevin Ryan's to be believed, it sounded like the prep was very much interrupted by that, and they were worried that, you know, he was only just getting there, hadn't been able to take him away or anything. If he's going to step forward on that, then I think, you know, with the Ascot form as well that he's already got in the bag, he's the one they've all got to beat. And I thought he was very interesting at 5.0.
Very good. Steve?
Flora of Bermuda, who hasn't had an awful lot of luck in certainly the back end of last season. She was drawn right out on the wing in the Champions Sprint on Champions Day, and only beaten half a length. In the Sprint Cup before that, she didn't get the clearest of runs, and she's got good form throughout her career. Now, she was a neck second to Ines Sheeran first time up at York, but she travelled all over him. Ines Sheeran just got going, and as she again found a fair bit of trouble, when she gets the breaks, she's going to win because she has the gears to win this. There's no doubt. And when she gets that bit of luck, which hopefully will be in the what do they call it these days? Something Jubilee, isn't it? Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee. Yeah, she's got the ability to win it. She just needs the breaks, and she's overpriced considering where Ines Sheeran and her are in the market. Well, she's twice the price as Ines Sheeran. Shouldn't be.
Yeah, she's available around 13.0. I'll be following Andrew in on James's Delight. I think he's a very big price, and Clive Cox went very close with Carlos as well. He's only had 3 runners so far at the meeting, and 2 of them have placed. So I think he's well worth a bet at 34.0. And I'm taking a mad swing as well at Iberian. He is 101.0. It's a bit of a reacher of a case, but he had decent 2-year-old form over 7 furlongs. They tried him to make him a Guineas horse, was no good. He's had wind surgery, and he came back to win on the all-weather at the back end of last season. He's had 2 runs this season, was beaten by Spycatcher and Doncaster on soft ground at the start of the season. Went over to the Curragh then in the race that was won by James's Delight, but he was a big drifter on the day. He obviously didn't enjoy the trip over to Kildare. Look, Charlie Hill's won this. He's a very good record in this. He knows how to get him ready. He won it 2 years ago with Cadam at a massive price and followed up again the following year. Another big price was underestimated by the market. I'll be having a little place bet, maybe the 6 or 7 places if they're available, and a minimum stakes win bet just in case. Right, we'll jump onto the Jersey Stakes. So, Steve, I'll come straight back to you.
Yeah, typically wide open, but I thought Saracen had a chance for Joseph O'Brien, who won first time up at the Curragh at the back end of last season, 3rd at Newbury in the Greenham. Now, the Greenham Stakes worked out quite well. John Quill obviously beaten the head in the French Guineas from a wide draw. And Rashabar, who has been coming up and running okay behind Field of Gold. And Saracen, only 2 starts. That first start of the season is the only one that he's had this season. So, I mean, he's got a chance, I think, Saracen. So he was my pick in it, but not massively strong.
So that's Saracen, available at about 9.0. Charlie, do you want to come in there?
Yes, mate. Yeah, Comanche Brave for me. I mean, there's as Steve has said, there's a load of unexposed ones in there, and then others with bits and pieces of classic form. And I came down with this lad again. He's towards the top of the market, but his 2 runs this year have been very good. Beyond Henri Matisse, over 7 at Leopardstown in the trial, and he travelled really strong that day, and then pitched back up against Field of Gold at the Curragh. He finished 5th. But beat some decent horses as well in their own right. And I think dropping back a furlong is going to suit him well. And look, Gavin Ryan is an excellent rider, but we've got Ryan Moore taking over on Saturday, which can be no bad thing at Ascot. So I just thought he was the obvious one that brought on the balance of it the strongest form to the table.
Yeah, and so Donica is only sending over 2 horses to Ascot. This is the second one. Very good trainer for the top level races, even though he's quite young. Andrew, I think you're the only one left.
Yeah, going to take a chance on Remuse, hoping that it's going to be 45 minutes of fun for Owen Burrows on Saturday. Overall, this horse has been very, very impressive in his 2 starts at Doncaster, should I say, especially his second win. I was really taken by how he travelled under a penalty. He was giving an awful lot of weight away to a well-fancied Wathnan filly, Rafe Beckett's. Has that straight track form, seems to be ground versatile as well, won on good to firm to start with in his first start. So that shouldn't pose any issues. He is relatively short for a horse that doesn't have any group race form. I do understand that, but he certainly has potentially more scope than a few of these to develop into a real proper horse. And I've just been, you know, sometimes you watch a maiden, sometimes you really get a real feel out of a horse watching a novice, how they travel through it. And that's how I got with him at Doncaster the last day. He looked like a really nice horse. So removes for Owen Burrows and Callum Rodriguez.
So it's removes for Andrew, Comanche Brave for Charlie, and Saracen for Steve in the jersey. Okay, on to the 5 o'clock, which is the Wokingham. Andrew, we come straight back to you there. You can keep going with your selection.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going with this Owen Burrows trend with Giraffe. One of my stronger handicap fancies of the week. Very positive on this horse. He's got plenty of good course and distance form. Was second in the Ben Goff Stakes at the end of last year on softer ground. I think he's a little bit better on nicer ground as well, including when he won a course and distance handicap. That was the last time Billy Loughnane rode him. He gets back up on him this time round. He's over 105, so he doesn't have any secrets from the assessor back in a handicap, but it gives me kind of like the novice handicap chase at Cheltenham, the vibes of this race. It's almost like a condensed conditions race. I think there's only 7 or 8 pounds from top to bottom. So that shouldn't be of major concern. I just think he's a type of horse that still might be a group race or a group 2, group 3 sprinter by the end of the season. There's more to come from this horse. He was quite eye-catching, went 4th at Salisbury on reappearance in a race that wouldn't have suited him. I think a bigger field will. I think at 10.0, I think he's a very strong play for me in both the win and place market.
Very good. So that's Giraffe 10.0 win place for Andrew. Charlie, win there.
Yeah, a couple there. I mean, More Thunder, who I've been with earlier this year, and you know he 2 from 2 this time round, both at Newmarket. He got a little bit outpaced on both occasions, especially with the most recent start before hitting the line strong. The horse he beat there on both times, a Ram that's come out and won his next start up at Newbury, and I just think there's heaps more to come from this horse. Again, I thought the track at Ascot would suit him really well. So he's my first one. And then just at a bigger price, Shartash for the Archie Watson team. Started off really well last year for Archie when I think they bought him out of Johnny Murtagh's. And he's a real classy horse, ended up pitching up in group company, running well through the latter part of the season. This time round, first start back at Lingfield was solid. He was 3rd there, was very promising. And then the last twice at Southwell, not so much, but there's been excuses. Found trouble on his latest start and fell out the stalls on the penultimate start. So he's down on his mark as well. I think he reached a high of 111 with Archie. He's now down to 102. Cheap pieces go back on, and I think Archie Watson is one of those trainers that he invariably does well on the straight track at Ascot. You know, he's won this race before a couple of years ago, and I thought at 15.0 to back him win and place. He's also a lot of back class, and if he pitches up, that might look very big. But More Thunder at the top of the market also.
It's More Thunder and Shartash for Charlie. Steve?
Germanic, who is trained by Julie Camacho, but has only had 2 starts for Julie, was trained by William Haggis, who's got More Thunder in here. So he might well have, hopefully, given away the winner of the Wokingham, because, or not given away, but he cost a few quid. But he ran really well first time up for Julie Camacho, but clearly in need of the run in that race at Leicester. And then on the all-weather at Newcastle last time, again, a little bit keen early. So I think the fact that they're going to go quick, and the pace for me, a lot of it seemed middle to far side. So being drawn over there in stall 10, I think might just be a help. And he won't be far off the pace himself, just behind it, one would imagine. But he was second last time to Ferris, who was completing a hat-trick of wins. And Ferris had previously beat a Ram. So they're quite closely matched. And I think Germanic, 3rd time, I always think that sprinters, 3rd time of the season is when they're absolutely spot on in general terms. And that's hopefully where Germanic will be. And I've got a feeling this horse is who had some good form for William Haggis. I think he's well handicapped, and everything looks in place for a big run at a big price.
Good stuff. So that's Germanic at 26.0 for Steve. Charlie has More Thunder at 6.0 and Shartash at 15.0. And Andrew is very strong on Giraffe at 10.0 in the Wokingham. The second last race of the week, the Golden Gate Stakes. Andrew, I'll come back to you there on this one.
Yeah, I can't really get my head around the horse. I'm going to put up, but just a small one at a slightly bigger price in the shape of Roosevelt for Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore. Just an awfully strange campaigning of this horse. Ran a mile 2 maiden, came last, won a mile 4 maiden at Leopardstown, beating Delta, who's a good horse in his own right. Was up the arse at Carmers in a listed race at Navan, and then won a maiden himself. And then made his handicap debut a couple of weeks ago over 7 furlongs, which seems like a bizarre kind of placement. And again, came last. So he's got kind of 2 duck eggs and a 1 in the middle. I suppose I'm thinking to myself, was the 7 furlong handicap run almost a pipe opener to run in either this race or a 1.5 mile race at Ascot? And I'm hoping that's the case. Ryan Moore has decided to ride him, which is a positive in my eyes. And it's one of those where we don't have an awful lot, around the horse. It's very difficult to quantify whether 92 might be very tough on the horse. It might be quite unexposed for the horse. But I suppose at the price he is, I'm going to take a small chance that back up to a mile 2 might very much suit this horse. And if he can get out of stall 1 relatively quickly, we saw at Leopardstown he could dictate and like to go from the front. So maybe that will be the tactics employed.
Yeah, you're not going to get many chances to back Ryan Moore in a handicap at 15.0 on an Aidan O'Brien horse. So that's Roosevelt for Andrew. There's nothing for you, Charlie. Steve, do you want to come in there?
Too many pages open. Yeah, I fancy Ernst Blofeld, who ran 4th in the London Gold Cup last time. And that handicap at Newbury is always a hot race, and I think it will be again this year with Sadat winning it, who was among the entries for this race, but I think the ground might be a bit on the quick side. But the Ernst Blofeld ran like a horse who's still learning, and that was only his handicap debut. He'd previously run in a listed race at Newmarket. He only made his debut early April, so he's a horse that's got the potential to keep progressing. He's got cheek pieces on for the first time. He's in a big field for the first time, which will help. And he's got a wide draw, which is never a problem. So I think again, another wide open handicap. Ernst Blofeld should run really well.
So that's Roosevelt for Andrew, Ernst Blofeld for you, Steve. And I think if Archivist gets in his first reserve, he'll probably go off 3.0 and skip on. And we're on to the final race of the week then. Just the one bet in this. That's for you, Steve, in the Queen Alexandra.
Yeah, love this race because it's full of desperate horses. There's a lot of, there's a few in here I'm run on the flat and aren't exactly rated very high over hurdles. Not that official ratings, of course, mean anything. Don't forget that. So Trooper Bisdee for me. A horse who stays very well, had a good time of it early last season, very uncomplicated, goes from the front when they need him to, was 4th in the Cesarovic trial, ran midfield in the Cesarovic. I thought his best effort was probably last time on his return to action behind Manxman and in a race at Goodwood. So if he just gets out in front, I think he could skip away from them.
It's the job, Trooper Bisbee at around 13.0 in the Queen Alexandra. So that's it now. We're just going to go through our long shots for Saturday. So my one is James Delight in the QE2 at 26.0. Steve?
I am going to go for Ernst Blofeld in the Golden Gates.
You can leave the mic on now, Steve. We're nearly there. Charlie?
Shartash in the Wokingham, please.
Yeah. And Andrew?
Roosevelt for me, but I'll certainly be having something on James's Delight like yourself.
That's the job. And finally, the best bets for the £5 money back special on the treble. So, Steve, we'll come to you again.
Flora of Bermuda in the Group 1 Sprint.
And Charlie.
Comanche Brave in the Jersey.
And finally, Andrew.
Taking my life in my hands, Giraffe in the Wokingham.
So that's some nice prices in there now.